Welcome back to the Golf A Lot YouTube channel. Georgina here, and today I got to do essentially my dream testing. As you guys will probably know at this point, I really like playing hybrids. I've played with 2 hybrids in the bag for quite a while now. So we've taken 4 hybrids from 4 of the most popular brands in golf to put them head to head to the test to see which one I prefer. If you haven't already, please make sure that you're subscribed to the Golf A Lot YouTube channel. It's been great seeing the community grow over the last few months. And remember, if you want to know more about these hybrids, you can check out all the written reviews on the Golf A Lot website. Okay, so which hybrids are we actually working with here? First up, we have the Callaway Paradigm. Now, there's been a lot of hype around the Paradigm brand this year and lots of interesting technologies in here. We've got the jailbreak technology that we've seen quite a bit in Callaway before, but as they keep innovating and keep working on it, we've got new versions of this with the Batwing Jailbreak AI. We've also got this cutwave sole at the bottom, which you can see quite clearly on the base of the club, and that is to try and get a better turf interaction. So overall with this, I was really excited to test this one out. Next up, we've got the Ping G430. Now, as always with Ping, we're expecting a lot of forgiveness here, but what they've done with the technologies in 2023, they've used this carbon fly wrap on the head of the club to make the club nice and light, to try and chase some higher ball speeds and get a little bit more distance, which all sounds great if it actually works. We've also got the Titleist TSR3 hybrid. This has a smaller head with a baffler shape on it, as well as this SureFit adjustable track, which allows the golfer to put the weights in 5 different positions to really allow for that precision across their hybrids. And then finally, we've got the Stealth 2 hybrid. Now, this one isn't adjustable, which is why it's still connected to the shaft here. But as we know with Stealth, they've already got the distance, they've got the speed, and this year they were focusing a bit more on forgiveness. So as well as the speed pocket, we've also got a larger sweet spot to really try and help the golfer get those fast ball speeds off every position on the face. So all in all, a really exciting lineup of hybrids for me to test out. So some of you guys might have watched our most recent best drivers of 2023 video. If you haven't already, make sure you go and check it out. So essentially, we're just going to be doing the same as we did in that video, taking these 4 hybrids, breaking them down and comparing them in 4 categories, which is looks, forgiveness, distance, and value for money. So we are going to pick a winner at the end of this based on those 4 categories. So make sure you guys stay tuned to find out which is my favorite hybrid of 2023. So quick disclaimer, obviously I'm not a robot, I'm just a regular amateur golfer. So these are all just my opinions and my findings from our testing earlier. So we tested these out indoors earlier over at Hooked. We used Foresight to gather all the data. We hit 10 shots off the deck and 10 shots off the tee with each of these clubs, so 80 balls in total to be able to come to a conclusion as to which is my favorite hybrid of 2023. So just one thing to note, we did get these hybrids in as close shafts throughout as we could, but there are some differences when it comes to the loft, but we'll discuss all of that later when we come to compare the distances. So with the first category, we are looking at looks, and we're going to start in reverse order. So starting with my least favorite of the hybrids in terms of looks. My least favorite comes out as the Titleist TSR3. Now, like we said earlier, this is a smaller head. It's designed for the better players who are maybe used to seeing a smaller head and feel more comfortable with that. For me, the shape just wasn't inspiring that much confidence that I like to see with my hybrids. And there's also no alignment aid on this, which I've been used to having in my woods and hybrids for multiple years now, so this was just a little bit different and just not the right shape for my eye. With that said, I can really see the traditional Titleist styling here, and I can very much see how some of the better players who are used to the smaller heads would like this and would want this as their hybrid, but for me, it just was not the right shape. Number 3 in looks is the Ping G430. Now, for me, I just felt as though the head of this club was just a bit messy. There's a lot going on. It's just a bit overwhelming. You've got these little patterns on the top with the carbon crown. You've got lots more detailing and color on the top of the club. When you're looking at it at address, there is just a lot going on here. And another thing that is really personal to me when it comes to my woods and my hybrids is that I like to have a shiny finish. whereas this has a matte finish. And the reason I like that is because I can see the takeaway and see it's in the right position, which I just wasn't able to get with this. So it was just a little bit off-putting at a dress. In second place was the Paradigm. Now, to be honest, there wasn't much difference in my opinion with the Paradigm and the Stealth in terms of which was my favorite. I liked the detailing on this. I liked the alignment aid. I think the main thing for me was just that I slightly preferred the color scheme in the Stealth with having that nice red and black, which for me provokes a lot more sense of power and speed, which I like to see in my longer clubs, in my hybrids and woods, whereas the Paradigm is just a bit more subtle and a bit more gentle and almost more feminine, which for me just wasn't the look that I really wanted with my hybrids. So of course, coming in first place then for looks is the Stealth 2 hybrid. Now for me, this just really suited my eye at a dress. It was the right shape and the right size. And what I really liked about this was the red and black color scheme on the base of the club. But then when you put it at a dress, you don't see that, it's not off-putting. It's a little bit calmer and simpler at a dress, which for me all just really suited my eye, and I just really liked this hybrid. So second category is forgiveness, and coming in fourth place again there was the Titleist TSR 3. Now, like we said earlier, this club is designed for better players. It's not really designed for the forgiveness. And what I did really feel was this, is when I hit it right in that sweet spot, right in the middle, it was by far the best feeling strike out of all the hybrids. It was just rare that I was able to get that strike because the forgiveness wasn't quite there. When I did strike it, it was really nice and soft and very muted. So this hybrid in particular is really targeted to that better player that wants a smaller hybrid. There is also a Titleist TSR 2 available, which is a little bit bigger and a little bit more forgiving, which I can imagine would suit me a little bit better and is probably more suited to the majority of golfers, with this coming in for the lower handicap better players. In third place for forgiveness, and it is a close between the third and fourth place, is the Callaway Paradigm. Now the reason that this is coming in third was there was quite a lot of distance dispersion, both with the Callaway Paradigm and with the Titleist TSR 3. Now there was 27 yards difference between my longest and shortest shot with the Paradigm and 25 with the Titleist. But what I was seeing was that the left to right dispersion with the Paradigm was lower than with the Titleist, and in my opinion, you can get away with a worse distance dispersion than a left to right dispersion. But as somebody who likes to play hybrids and likes to be quite strong in that category of longer approach shots to the green, I wasn't too keen on having such a large distance dispersion with those two hybrids. So coming in at second place for forgiveness was the Stealth 2 hybrid. Now the reason that this is ranking a little bit higher than the Paradigm and the TSR 3 was because I saw some really nice consistency, seeing the majority of shots with a very similar left to right dispersion, which although that isn't necessarily the normal shot shape I would be looking for, it was consistent throughout, which is the most important thing. And if you were to remove one shot from the mix there that went a little bit wrong, all of the distances would have been within 7 yards of each other, which for me I would say is a much better distance dispersion for my hybrids. So coming in first place is the Ping G430. Now this had the lowest left to right dispersion out of the 4 models, which for me is the most important thing when it comes to hybrids. What I was also seeing was that the side spin with this hybrid was lower than any of the others, and I even had one shot that had exactly 0 side spin and went dead straight. So for that reason, this is coming in first place. So getting on to the third category, we're talking distance here. Now, like we said earlier, we did have our hands on a variety of different lofts within these hybrids. So we had the Ping G430 and the Titleist TSR 3 at 19 degrees. The Paradigm is at 21 degrees and the Stealth 2 is at 22. So obviously the variation there in lofts is going to have an effect on how far we can hit these hybrids. So we can't do the direct comparison, but we can do a comparison in the scale of them to see which one is going furthest for that particular loft. So when we're talking distance, I'm going to be looking at the total distance in yards. And the reason for that is, for me, the majority of the time when I'm playing a hybrid, it's going to be hitting shots into longer par 4s or shorter par 5s, where really the thing I'm looking for is the total distance with it rolling out on the links courses that I tend to be playing. So starting off with the two hybrids at 19 degrees, the Ping G430 and the Titleist TSR 3. Now at 19 degrees, we would be expecting these two to be going further than the rest of the clubs, and it also gives a direct comparison between the two. Now, the winner out of these two was the Ping G430, coming in at a total of 207 yards compared to just 202 with the TSR3. So for me, with a 19-degree hybrid, I would be hoping for a total somewhere over 200 yards. So both of these were coming in with good distances, but obviously the Ping G430 won out of those two because it was just going that little bit further. So looking at the Paradigm, this is 2 degrees higher lofted, which I would usually expect to see maybe dropping roughly 5 yards distance. However, what we saw with this is that the Paradigm was going 8 yards shorter than the TSR3 and 13 yards shorter than the Ping G430. So even with that difference in the lofts, I didn't feel as though that was really a justification for the bigger difference in distance with the Paradigm. So at the minute, that puts Paradigm in last place for distance out of these 3 models. So finally, coming on to the Stealth. Now, we were all expecting to see longer distance, higher ball speeds with the Stealth, and that does seem to be true when you take into account the difference in the lofts. So the Stealth Hybrid is a 22-degree loft, and this was actually going 1 yard shorter than the TSR3, which was at 19 degrees. Now, it's not going as far as the Ping G430, which obviously we wouldn't expect with the difference in lofts, but it did have the highest ball speed out of all 4, coming in at 123 miles per hour. So overall, in last place, we've got the Paradigm. Coming in at 3rd, we've got the Titleist TSR3. Now, you could probably argue between the top spot for the Ping and the Stealth. However, I would say that because of the difference in the lofts and how far and how fast the Stealth was going in comparison, I would put this in the top spot for distance. So our final category is value for money. Now, that isn't just whichever is the cheapest is the best. It's looking at the prices comparatively between the 4 models and considering everything we've said and performance and forgiveness to see which one is ranking better in this category. So in at 4th place with an RRP of £299 was the Paradigm. Now, the reason that this has come in 4th is because it hasn't performed really badly, it hasn't performed the best, but it is the most expensive, which is why it's been placed in 4th place for value for money. In 3rd place at an RRP of £259 is the Titleist TSR3. Now, this is an interesting one because obviously it wasn't the right hybrid for me, it wasn't giving me the forgiveness that I wanted, and it wasn't right in terms of looks. However, I do think that there is a lot of value with having the adjustable track here, and obviously this is designed for a different type of player who wants the smaller hybrids, and I can see a lot of potential there for that type of golfer as to why this would be great value for money for them. In 2nd place with an RRP of £295 is the Ping G430. For me, this performed great in terms of forgiveness and performance, and being pitched at roughly the same price point as the Paradigm, I had to put it as better value for money purely because the forgiveness was there and the distance was there as well, which are 2 great things needed for a good hybrid. Coming in at 1st place with an RRP of £239 is the Stealth 2 Hybrid. Now, for me, even though this is the cheapest of all 4 models, it performed consistently top in all of the categories that we tested out, and coming in at so much cheaper than the Ping G430, I had to put this as top for value for money. So overall, looking at everything that we've tested and all the categories we've gone through, I would say that if you're looking for the most forgiving hybrid, I would probably put you towards the direction of the Ping G430. If you're someone who's looking for a smaller hybrid, you've already got the forgiveness and the confidence, and you're just looking for something that is going to have a great feel and you feel as though you can strike it perfectly every single time, I would definitely say the Titleist TSR3. But my personal favorite from the test was the Stealth. For me, this performed really well in all the categories. It was a great club. We always expect the distance and the speed from Stealth, so it was nice to see that the hybrid certainly lived up to that in this test. So thank you all for watching this video. If you've enjoyed the video, please make sure to drop a like, and if you haven't already, make sure that you're subscribed to the Golf A Lot YouTube channel so that you don't miss out on any reviews from us in the future. If you want to know any more information on these hybrids, make sure you check out the full written reviews over on the Golf A Lot website. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.